A wholly unsolicited letter from the seer Ione Marchese to Hewler Silverfox, Chancellor of the Grey College, City of Greyhawk. I have written before about the importance of the number 7 in the interpretation of visions, but now I must inform you of another number, one which made itself known to me last night in my dreams. As I often do when dreaming, I was counting signs, and I quite easily found 7. A temple, a basket of flowers, a hunting hound, a moon, another moon, a sense of disappointment, and a mouse. But when I settled down to interpret them, I was confronted with another, an 8th, and then the dream ended. I was troubled, but after 2 cups of my homemade chamomile tea, I managed to fall asleep again, and again I found myself in a dream, and again I counted 7 signs. This time an elk, a river, a single mislaid silk glove, my own reflection, a pair of rabbits, the beating of my own heart, and the taste of iron in my mouth. And then again an 8th sign. 8 upon 8. But this time the dream did not end. 8 upon 8 pushed its way through the walls of my slumber, circling and spiraling endlessly down into a place that was dark and humid and full of animal cries. 8 upon 8, forming a path, a staircase for me to tread, and not just me. Things moved up and down all around me, whispering of what was to come, of what might rise and what might fall. 8 upon 8, 8 upon 8, repeating, never-ending, in circular multiplicity. 8 upon 8, and the number has a name, and its name is Demogorgon. Now, here is a list of 88 things. Firstly, a bolt of brocade fabric, violet with geometric patterns stitched in gold. Secondly, that same pair of rabbits. Thirdly, the voice of my mother, reminding me that someday I will grow old and be forgotten. Fourthly, a cup of my fine chamomile tea, which is accented with herbs and flowers gathered by hand from the fields outside Greyhawk, and which is available for purchase at my shop near the southern edge of the marketplace. The tea is served in a porcelain cup, decorated with periwinkle flowers and with a ring of silver around the lip. Fifthly, the inexorable march of
In the city of Greyhawk, 5 individuals are united by circumstance. A brewer priest, a haunted swordsman, a living relic, a caustic criminal, and a golem without a past. With the drawing of a single card, their lives have been turned upside down. Welcome to The Chimera, a role-playing adventure podcast. Our campaign this season is called Misplaced. It takes place in the venerable setting of Greyhawk, kind of, and we're playing with a modified version of 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I'm Vin LeBate, and I play Golden Rakashi, a Dragonborn rogue. Joining me today are...
I'm Braden Lamb, and I'm playing Balmo, a halfling cleric.
I'm Jeffrey Bard, and I play Sir Simeon, the human sword mage.
I'm Josh Halbachner, and I play Ashlar, a warforged sorcerer.
I'm Kacey Smith, and I play Latchkey, a shardmind with the dual classes of Battlemind and Scion.
And I'm Kelly Weissman Asbruth Jackson, the Dungeon Master.
Now, let's get started.
Well, then, once everybody wakes up, I'm not going to wake them up prematurely. I'll share with them the contents of the dream, what I asked, the kind of answers that I got, and the terrifying things that I heard.
Okay. So, now, you said you wanted to go to the transportation chamber and see about looking at the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, one other brief question. The length of the unit of time of a cycle.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think I asked I am to start or to
Yep.
tell me when a cycle had completed. Has he told me?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I'm glad you remembered, because I was going to ask that and I forgot. So
Yeah, so it's been over a day since you made that request.
Okay, just keeping track.
okay, and what was the number of cycles again?
37,543,210.
Long time.
So if a cycle is longer than a day, then hundreds of thousands of years.
A long time.
Which is also maybe how long Callista's been missing.
Maybe. Okay. Shall we go check out?
Yeah, so back in the transportation chamber, the same, it's as you left it. There's the large central platform. There's the 6 numbered platforms, and there are the 4 labeled platforms.
And what are we doing here? We're going to go grab Rikashi.
Well, we were told earlier that we can find out what's happening outside the cube via the functionality of this room. So I say that's where we start.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do it.
Princess, please do whatever is necessary for us to know what is going on outside the cube.
Which direction would you like to see?
Directly below.
The floor becomes transparent. You can still see the platforms. They're not transparent, but the floor itself just goes glass, basically, and you can see below the area of the area immediately below the cube. So you can see the platform that's that you stood on originally in order to get into the cube. You can see the excavated area around that. You can see that it's still night outside, and that there are torches set up around that platform. There are 3 goblin guards hanging out by it. You can see all those things through the floor. It's somewhat disconcerting to be standing on a completely transparent surface.
I was going to say.
Mm-hmm. So, by indications, then, more or less business as usual.
Yeah, that guard is new. They didn't have active guards just sitting there at night before.
Yep.
But you can't really see any other changes in the way that it was before you went in.
And they know that we went in, so it kind of makes sense that they...
Mm-hmm. Nobody seems to be noticing. I guess there's no reason for them to look directly up.
That is true. It's not like they've got anybody just sort of looking up at the cube full time. So you can decide for yourself how paranoid you are about whether or not they can see you. If someone chose to look up, or if someone happened to glance upward.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone wearing robes?
I am. Wait, why?
Oh, I'm sorry. And I should remind you that the cube is also turning, so the view of what's below you is turning. It's not turning super fast.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's more of an issue the further towards the corners you go.
Princess, could we see out the sides as well?
The walls go transparent. You can see, it's night in the camp. There are some guards posted here and there, but there's much less activity than there was during the day.
Princess, can we move the cube from its current location?
It would not be possible to move the cube without significantly reconfiguring the reactor.
Okay. No, then. No.
Oh.
No.
Let's not do that.
Well, we could drop the shark thing down there.
We could drop the shark thing down there. It wasn't Chekhov's hippogriff, it was Chekhov's shark thing.
Shark normality.
Sharkstrosity. Okay.
Sharknado.
Princess, could you transport the shark normality to the pad below us?
Awake.
Transport to the threshold platform is only possible from the arrival platform.
Anybody have handle animal?
So you can get the shark normality onto the main platform, you can get it down there otherwise.
Princess, how does one get a test subject to the arrival platform?
Without dying.
Very carefully.
First, the test subject would need to be released from the delivery bay, or transferred to one of the holding cells, and then released from one of the holding cells.
Princess, could you do that?
I could move the contents of the delivery bay to one of the holding cells.
Would that take it out of its static state?
Only if that was desired.
Why would you build a hybrid monster creation facility without easy access to transport the monsters out of the facility onto the island of monsters underneath.
Why indeed?
I feel like a step is missing.
Not such a smart secret society now, is it?
Princess, could you remove the stasis state from the specimen in the delivery bay anywhere inside the princess?
I legitimately don't understand that question. So
Okay,
it is in
so
stasis.
let me roll out my theory here, then.
Sure.
Move it from the delivery bay into the holding cell.
Yep.
Leave it in stasis, as it seemed to be implied it could be done.
That is the intended implication, yes.
Then we push the stasis-held shark normality through the hallways onto the platform. Then we release it and immediately transport it.
This is a
Follow-up
really
question.
classic
Is-
D&D problem.
Is the shark normality small enough to fit all onto the transport pad?
Oh, it's small enough to fit on the
Okay,
transport
okay.
pad. Yes.
All right.
I'd be more concerned about getting it through the doors.
And what about the bag of corn? What is required, Princess? What's required to make something in the delivery bay move again?
The stasis field needs to be removed.
So it sounds like we can't push a frozen monster through the halls.
Princess, can we push a frozen monster through the halls?
I do not understand what is meant by a frozen monster.
I'm trying to think what Ash's robot equivalent of rubbing his temples is.
Maybe they just spark a little.
I just want to be clear that Ash has been getting offensive jokes from meat-based life forms for basically as long as he can remember about how he's a robot, so he must be incapable of understanding basic questions. So dealing with two robots that actually can't understand basic questions is really making him nuts.
Okay, hang on. So we have a holding cell,
Mm-hmm.
and we have a door to the south of the holding cell,
Mm-hmm.
and that leads to the transportation chamber, right?
You go through, from the transportation chamber's point of view, you go through the north door to get to the holding cells.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's really not that far. It's only about, 50 meters or so, less than that. If we transferred it to the holding cells, opened up the door, and then let it chase us over the transportation thing, activate the transportation thing as it's chasing us over the transportation thing, we can get it down there.
Can we hold open doors so that we don't have to let it chase us? Just come towards us? We'll still stand on the other side of the platform, but we're not running through the halls. It's running.
Okay, I have another question. Do we have any source of blood that isn't a member of our party?
Do you consider Demertha a member of the party?
Yes. She's an auxiliary.
You have other things in the holding cells.
And we have bits and pieces in the
The specimen
chamber.
We
Yeah,
can
we've
make
got,
as
marbles.
many combinations of creatures as we want,
Okay.
honestly.
All right. Okay, so here's my new plan.
Revision.
Okay? One of these is going to work. This plan, we move the shark normality to a holding cell.
Mm-hmm.
We either retrieve a portion of the specimens on its own, or we make a small, harmless specimen. We make a trail of blood from the holding cell onto the platform. We rely on the what's it called again?
Shark normality.
We rely on the shark normality's shark-like sense of smell and interest in feeding to lure it up onto the platform, then we teleport it down.
I feel like plans like this are how we ended up with stump monsters in the first place. But I like it.
Ash works retail, right? So he has all day to think of very elaborate ways to do things. So this is kind of This is kind of an area of interest.
And specifically to move dangerous things around without putting himself in danger, probably.
Yes.
Very true.
Plus, Ash is like just kind of weirdly fascinated by biological life forms. So like, in fact, I'm guessing. So I want to flash back here for a second.
All right.
Okay.
A flashback.
I want to flash back here a second to the store. And I think basically what happened here is we see some circumstance where Sir Simeon has just come into town, is planning to head over to the Western Wind and get a room, and he's just stopping in to see first if there's anything interesting new in the store and say hello. And when he comes in, Ash is in one corner of the store area and basically assembling a real-life version of something like the Mousetrap board game with like a small, modeled mouse that he's found somewhere and trying to lure it through like a series of like little obstacles with food. Sees you come in. Hello, Sir Simeon.
Ash? So we know each other in this?
I know you as a customer.
Okay. Hello, Ash? What do you got going here? This looks really interesting.
I want to see if I can get this small animal to run an obstacle course.
Okay. And why?
To see a small animal run an obstacle course.
Okay, would you call that entertainment?
Let's find out. He's going to pull a little rope which will open up a little gate, allowing the mouse to now see the small trail of cheese or something that he's laid out ahead of him.
And when you say like the board game Mousetrap, like it's that ridiculous, like Rube Goldberg style?
Yes.
Okay.
The mouse, it doesn't bolt. It sort of slowly ambles out of the gate, but once it starts to get the whiff of the cheese and get into it, sort of moves on to the next thing and proceeds generally in the direction that Ash was hoping. Maybe not quite as quickly as he was hoping, but
I would consider this a promising result. He'll stand up and walk over to the counter in case Sir Simeon wants to buy anything. Okay, and flashback.
Okay, are you going to start feeding the princess instructions to execute your plan?
I'm going to start feeding the princess instructions to execute that. Somebody could stop me if they want to, but I'm not waiting to see if anybody is going to stop.
Okay.
It's not going to be Sir Simeon. He wants to see how this plays out.
Latchkey is also sort of darkly curious.
Who's going to put their hand on the meat flour to summon a rabbit, and only a rabbit?
I can't promise you anything.
I feel like Latchkey might be the most might be the most clear-minded to perform this action.
Didn't we establish that it only works with bio stuff, though?
Oh, I don't know.
I would definitely go with Latchkey if Latchkey can do it.
We can find out if we can do it.
Let's find out.
Okay, so the delivery bay is full right now.
Mm-hmm.
So what is? I think your first move is probably not having Latchkey touch the meat flour. So what is your first move?
First move is to move the shark normality to the holding cells.
Okay, so that's the first instruction of the princess, right?
Yep.
Once the instruction is given, there's no particular response for probably several minutes. Then eventually, the contents of the delivery bay has been transferred to holding cell 1.
Okay. Now Latchkey should touch the meat flour.
Okay.
Okay, Latchkey's gonna do it.
All right, Latchkey touches the meat flour, and you find yourself with this overhead view of the specimen's chamber, and sort of the kind of the mental equivalent of a cursor around the upper leftmost of the specimen jar test tube things. And with some testing, you can sort of move it around and select which things you want to have in your grotesque mockery of life.
Choose your fighter.
So they are going to look for the head of something small and herbivorous with a compact body, long legs for running, and that's pretty much it. Small, fast, not going to kill us.
Okay. You do some focusing, refocusing, and eventually feel like, okay, you got it.
Okay.
And you return to your regular field of vision.
We believe we've been successful.
All right. Do you want to go to the delivery bay and check that out?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. In the delivery bay, we have something like it seems like the body is a rabbit or something, some mammal on the scale of a rabbit. It's a little hard to tell when it's just the body. The head of a duck.
Duck rabbit. That's a philosophical quandary.
And a giant set of grasshopper hind legs.
Excellent.
So it's still hanging out. It's very, I mean, it's a small, might even be a tiny animal. And it's hanging out in the stasis field at the bottom of the pit, basically.
Princess, we would like to access this creature without taking it out of stasis yet.
Well,
Actually, I guess let's just transport it to one of the empty holding cells.
Yeah. Move it to another holding cell.
All right. With that instruction, you can actually see what happens. What happens is that one of the from your perspective, the south wall of the pit opens up, and the stasis field basically moves through the hole in the wall, and then it'll move over into one of the cells. But it's not like it's not being teleported. It's literally being scooched. The contents of the delivery bay have been transported to holding cell 2.
Okay. Let's go to the holding cells.
Okay.
What does it look like for one of the things in the holding cells to be in the stasis field?
It looks... The color rate... So there are these force fields that are at the doors of each of the holding cells, right? And they tint the light on the other side. But the stasis field, it's like two different lenses over the same thing, right? So it's darker. You can see there's a difference between a thing that has a stasis field up and a thing that doesn't.
How big is the stasis field?
It apparently fills the chamber because the color is the same throughout.
How are we going to kill this?
Couldn't we just let it run and the other thing could chase it?
Such a shame, says Balmo. I know somebody who would really love to cook this thing up.
Ashlar, think of it like one of your mice.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Ash is going to kind of crack his knuckles. And so I guess the way that we want to do this is to close all of the doors except for the one going from the holding cells to the transport chamber. We will wait in the transport chamber further down. Then we let the rabbit duck hopper out. Then we let the shark normality out.
While you are spelling this out and making your final arrangements, the biological members of the party get queasy again, like you did that first time that you arrived, shortly after you arrived on the island, whereas the non-organic members of the party get kind of an itchy feeling, I think is how I described it for you. You're having this conversation in the transport bay or somewhere else?
Probably in the transport bay.
Yeah.
And is it still transparent?
I think so.
Okay, the day goes instantly from night to day. There's no going through dawn. It's not like early morning light. It's like daylight. Although the light is kind of weird. You can't really, you can't see the sky because ceiling isn't transparent. But yeah, there's a sudden change in the area. And the people, the figures down on the ground immediately respond to it. Like there's sort of a chaotic rushing and worrying and trying to look busying kind of thing going on in the camp.
Francis, what just happened?
Can you be more specific?
Momentarily ago, it was night in the space where the princess resides, and now it is instantaneously day. Plus, I'm itchy. We are itchy.
The location of the Chimera project has changed.
But we are above the same space. We see the same individuals. It is only the time that seems to have changed.
The location of the entire Chimera project has changed.
So the whole island archipelago is now maybe in a different part of the world?
That did seem to be the implication when the purpose of the needle was discussed earlier.
That is assuming that we are in the world and not in the abyss, but leaving that for another day.
Princess, do you know where we are in relation to the rest of Orth?
The princess is currently not located on Orth.
Awesome.
Huh.
Balmo gives who was the most Ash, you were probably the most kind of skeptical of Balmo's theory about.
I was definitely the most skeptical.
The most skeptical, no question.
I don't know how much a raised eyebrow or a side eye would do to Ash. So Balmo kind of clears his throat and just gestures to around him as he's done a couple times to around him to where the voice is coming from.
Princess, where is the princess currently?
The princess and the rest of the Chimera project are currently located on the 88th layer of the Abyss.
God damn it!
That was beautiful. That was
Balmo takes off his floppy hat, throws it on the ground, and jumps up and down on top of it.
Demertha is very upset about this. She looks at Ash and said, "You promised me that we weren't in the abyss."
Princess. One cycle ago, where was the princess?
One cycle ago, the princess was on Orth.
Ash is gonna point a finger. Someone took you up on your idea, beer man.
It was probably future Balmo. So wait, Princess, why did the Chimera Project move to the 88th layer of the Abyss?
The Chimera Project and its environs are partially unstuck in space and time.
Oh.
Owing in part to a problem at the Needle.
When will the Chimera Project be moving again? Take a princess onto the beginning of that.
The movement is not possible to predict with precision, but we have observed that it is becoming more common.
Princess, so all of Monster Island is part of the Chimera Project?
I do not know what Monster Island is.
What's it called?
The Isle of Dread.
Yeah, the overall thing is the Isle of Dread. The specific islet you're on is the Island of Monsters.
Oh, okay. Princess, does the Isle of Dread belong to the Chimera Project?
I do not know what the Isle of Dread is.
Princess, do these islands that surround the princess consist of part of the Chimera Project?
Yes.
Okay, so with that answer, Ash is going to hold up a finger and say, okay, this is very interesting, but does not change the immediate scenario. Balmo, Sir Simeon, I'd like your assistance with this. And then Ash would like to make a nature check to make this plan go off as smoothly as possible. Note that I am trained in nature, so...
What the hell does that even mean?
It's a trained skill for a sorcerer. Don't ask me. Ask Wizards of the Coast. I have the skills.
I'm trained in nature.
I'm trained in nature.
That's amazing that Ash is
Ash,
the only...
no, you're not.
We just established with the flashback why he is. This is a hobby for him.
His rodent fathering hobby is finally paying off.
Yes. And I would like any stat boosting abilities that you guys can provide.
Yes, we can make
I'm
that
jealous
happen.
of all the rolls everyone's making with those.
Just let me know. Go.
Belmo takes a deep breath and clinks his stein against Ash's leg and says, "May we get what we want, but never what we deserve."
That's particularly fitting for this plan.
Yes, this is that's a more apt prosit than I've ever spoken, I think.
You know, the number of coincidences involving our friend Balmo is starting to strain credibility. He says that we're in the 88th layer of the abyss. Suddenly we're there. How do we know that he does not remember being this Father Balmo? How do we know that he's not simply playing ignorance?
If he will help me destroy a Scarlet Brotherhood outpost with a shark normality, I'm okay with it.
Sir Simeon, how many adventures have we been on? How many times have we whiled away the hours in the western wind? How many times have you seen me stinking drunk?
At least 5.
At least 5.
In the immortal words of Saint Wenta, in vino veritas, in wine there is truth. If I had some dark secret, some connection to Callista, surely it would have spilled out.
Only if you are not very good at what you do. And we have evidence here that the Chimera Project is very good at what it does.
Ash is going to put a hand on Sir Simeon's shoulder. Sir Simeon, the shark normality.
Say, Latchkey, do you still have that spyglass?
Yeah, I'm sure that they do.
Okay. I'm just pointing out that with the walls being transparent, there's a lot to look around at.
Oh, yeah. Good idea. Yep. We will do that.
How does that even work?
By the way, any open doors, obviously, you can't see out through. So it's just like the holodeck on Star Trek, right? Like,
yep.
When the door is open, you see the hallway, and everything else around it still looks like the thing that you're seeing, right? So it's just an opportunity to sort of noodle with the spyglass a little bit. But why don't you make a perception check for me?
28 with the natural 20.
Oh. Well then. I don't have to worry about this. Looking around for a while, you see that up in a tree at the edge of the encampment is Rikashi.
Oh.
Watching the camp. And actually, there's another figure with her when you first pan over. It's a drow, a dark elf, in armor, who is standing there with her at the top of the tree for a little while and then goes back down, and she stays up for a minute. Yeah.
Rikashi is... So they're going to lower the spyglass. Rikashi is there, and they're going to point in the direction that they saw. And she is with a dark elf. They seem to be working together.
Couldn't be. May I see?
They pass over the spyglass.
Darbin?
Yep.
Well, we may be in luck. We might be having Duck Rabbit Hopper tonight.
Or shark normality.
Or both.
It's like a turducken.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
So, Sir Simeon?
Yes.
Are you willing to give me a bonus?
Yes.
Okay, how much is that?
+5.
Okay.
And it's not a bonus, right? It's I say some words and I help you focus on nothing, right? So that your physical actions can kind of take over, your instincts kind of take over. That's what he does.
Okay.
Go ahead and make that roll, Josh.
33.
Ooh.
All right, so the plan is, I want to make sure I understand this. First, we release the Duck Rabbit Hopper.
Yep.
And the doors are already open, so its natural path is towards this room, the transportation room.
Mm-hmm.
And then we release the Shark Normality, and the intent is that Shark Normality will then chase the Duck Rabbit Hopper down to the transportation room. Their path will naturally take them across the transportation platform, and very careful timing in instructing the princess to transport the contents of the transportation platform will take it down to the ground. That's the goal?
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
So you open the appropriate doors, And then you release the stasis field and the security field on the first animal. It sort of like hops out, looks around. It's not super cooperative, honestly. It's kind of milling about around the control station. But then once you release the shark normality, there's this giant crazy monster behind it. So it immediately starts to tear towards the only available exit. It comes down, it streaks across through. It's very fast. And it crosses the platform very quickly. The shark normality, it moves at a reasonable speed, but it actually has to sort of contort itself to get through the hallways because the doors are kind of are just at the edge of what it can squeeze through, basically. But it continues through. It barrels down into the transportation room and onto the platform and disappears. And reappears downstairs, down on the ground.
Ash is going to pump a fist in triumph.
Cut to Rikashi outside of the cube, watching what's going on in the camp. This giant, crazy monster with a shark head and a long, furry neck and human arms ending in hands for legs and a giant crustacean arm on one side and sort of a weird tentacle with a glowing sphere thing on the other for sort of forearms. It just appeared in the platform that the rest of the party went up into the cube on. I'm sorry. So from Rikashi's perspective, like the beam of light came down out of the cube and then this thing was there after the light dissipated. And it's just going nuts on the goblin guards that were waiting there to see if anything came out of the cube, like just tearing into them. Also, this cacophonous bell noise has gone off all throughout the camp, some sort of a alarm or something. Not apparently coming from anywhere. It's not obvious what the source is, but the noise is very, very loud. So that's happening.
Huh. Okay. And she pulls out the bow that she borrowed from the encampment a while back, knocks an arrow, pulls it back, and waits.
Okay. A lot of goblin, hobgoblin, bugbear. At this point, there's a giant monster in the middle of the camp, so it's kind of an all hands on deck kind of situation. It chews through several different guards. The sphere appears to be some sort of a source of blasts of radiant energy, which it slices through a couple of goblins at a time with. It picks one up with its large crustacean claw and just literally crushes its head. It gets down with the long furry neck and bites into another hobgoblin with the shark teeth. It gores one with its horn. Remember, it has a horn. Yeah, it's a really gruesome scene. While
we're watching this, Ash is smiling, and he's going to kind of just tap Demertha on the shoulder, and if she looks over, give her a thumbs up.
Oh my god, that's perfect.
Eventually, after a bunch of cannon fodder have basically been chewed through, the humans enter the fray. And there's the fast-moving kind of monk-ish guy with the goggles and the jet black hair. He comes up first because he's really fast. Like, he moves almost at a blur and punches in, like, throws a punch that seems to explode on impact. There's like a burst of fire as his fist lands and does the first real damage to the thing that you've seen since it appeared. The guy with the crazy red hair comes up out of his tent riding on this awful, just gross rat monster thing. It has It's kind of hard to say how many heads it has because the necks sort of fuse together, but multiple faces to be sure. This mottled fur and 3 different tails. It's the size of a large horse. He rides up on it. He has a lance. So he rides towards the shark normality and gores it with the lance. And then the wizardress that you saw earlier emerges from her tent and from a ways off tosses a lightning bolt in its direction, which seems to do it in.
No, shark normality.
It's an all too brief life for the shark normality.
He only was just born.
Rakashi's bow just dips down again. Huh.
So should we do that again then?
Latchkey, what was Rakashi doing during that exchange?
Sorry, we were mostly watching the carnage, to be honest.
Fair.
Understandable.
Is she still in the same place?
Latchkey puts up their spyglass and peeps again. Yes, they appear to still be in a tree.
Princess, is there a way for us to signal to someone outside the princess?
No.
Princess, what's the fastest you could get somebody down and back up?
It would be possible to transport someone down and then immediately transport them back up.
All right, so I think that's what we need to do, at least to get some information to Rakashi, who has currently 0 information. We know she waited for us, which is good.
0 clear information.
Well, I mean, we could write something down, or you just wave or thumbs up, or
Well, how much of the camp is still alive at this point? Is it still a pretty sizable group?
It's significantly diminished. The humans are directing the rest of the forces here to take the wounded and sort of draw back. There's a general sense of okay, so something really dangerous just came out of the cube and to no benefit to us. So they've moved back from the area immediately underneath the cube.
Kelly, how
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I can give a little speech, try to scare everybody away from this area. I mean, we could just threaten to continue to send shark normalities down until all of them are dead, and that they should move their camp and forget about the cube because it's ours now. See what happens.
Not a bad idea. I'm not sure it's a good idea, but it's not a bad idea.
Just have one of you guys ready to pop them back up, right?
We do also have a couple of assassins waiting in the tree. If we want to go ahead and take the fight to them while they're still licking their wounds.
So that's what we were thinking.
How much room, I guess, like how close to the platform are the nearest ones of them once they kind of finish whatever immediate movement they do after killing the shark normality?
Yeah, so they pull back pretty much back up to the tent line. So it's a ways.
Does it seem like enough that we could get down and make a break for it out of the camp without getting swarmed?
But without getting swarmed by the goons, sure. It's hard to outrun at least that really fast guy and maybe the dude on the rat monster. They're pretty fast moving. And it's not clear how fast the sorceress can move because she mostly is a back row combatant. But
We could take him.
I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about taking any of these guys.
Yeah.
They feel like they're at least Paragon tier. I also am worried about losing control of the cube, right? Like if we all go down and aren't able to get people back up because either, say, Latchkey gets, I don't know, blicked, or I am worried about losing control of the cube. I think it's very important for us to keep it and retain that control. Because here's where we're strong, right? If for some reason they cut us off from getting back to the cube, then we've lost all of our power, at least in this situation.
Parade of Monsters is still on the table, though, I think.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's our biggest play right now, is that we can stay up here in the cube for as long as we want to. They can't do anything to get into it. And I think that if we, reiterate the fact that they can't get into it and that we do have a horde of monsters we can drop down on them at any point, maybe we can get them to go away and forget about this folly that they're into.
We don't have anybody in our part of the party who's stealthy at all, do we?
I'm probably the closest version to that, and that's not super great.
Because Rakashi has the rod. So if we could communicate with Rakashi in any way, we could create a situation where we create absolute darkness and use that to make a getaway.
Could Bach get a message to Rakashi?
I don't think we want to get away, right? We want to stay in the cube.
We want to reunite the party.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we want to get Rakashi to us.
Mysterious voice raises an excellent question.
We're having a conversation on the Slack right now that there's no reason to not cue our listeners in on this.
Yeah, there's actually no reason for me to not talk. In this
yes, there's really not.
I mean, not that I can really participate in planning necessarily, but if it's possible for someone to briefly exit and re-enter the cube, and possible for someone to communicate telepathically over a decent distance.
So we've been a little bit ambiguous about what the limits of Latchkey's telepathic communication are. Definitely, I think sight is a factor. We agree on that. Mm-hmm. It's probably not necessary. I would say that it's not like clear quality communication out to the uttermost limits of their sight, because that feels a little bit too good to me. And it would also mean that like they were able to communicate so much more effectively if they had a spyglass on them, which seems
weird,
counterintuitive.
Yeah,
although funny.
I would certainly entertain a ritual to extend the range.
Okay.
And that isn't something I think that they would have to leave the cube to attempt.
Okay. Well, we could try. Let's see what a ritual like that look like. So I think they're going to draw reason, and reason will become kind of a staff. So this sort of a pole of light will come down from the end of the pommel. So it basically becomes more like a staff, and does sort of in effect now look like a giant tuning fork. And they're going to strike that tuning fork against the ground, and it's going to create sort of a loud sound. And then when they speak, they're going to speak with the same reverberation of the tuning fork. So it's going to be kind of a travel to a greater distance.
I'm into it. Why don't you make an Arcana roll?
Okay. 16.
What is your message?
Come into the cube. It's cool.
Yeah, I guess, did we want, I would say, activate the rod and come to the teleportation pad.
Yeah.
Also, I would tell them that we can see her.
Yeah.
If we're able to.
Do you want to add that to the message?
P.S. We can see you. Yeah.
Okay. So, Rakashi. You hear a voice in your head, which, although distorted and kind of louder and garblier than usual, you recognize as being Latchkey's voice in your head. I mean, you're very familiar with that at this point. With a lot of distortion in the background, but it's something like, "Come to the platform. We can see you."
Damn it. The most important part was missing.
She looks at the cube and sort of like tilts her head to the side, narrows her eyes, shrugs, and hops down from the tree. And I'm going to circle around the camp so that I'm at the side, sort of farthest away from the humans. I am going to face shift into that hobgoblin I most recently murdered. and I'm going to attempt to stealth my way up to the platform. Yeah, I'm holding the rod for the very last second, hopefully not needing it.
Okay. I'm going to say probably the best stealth approach based on the positioning of things is to kind of commando crawl.
Yep.
Because you got this rough terrain, and there's actually some height from the platform you can use to your advantage, that you can interpose it between you and the people who might be likely to see you. It's not a great stealth opportunity, but it's a possibility with that approach. Make me a stealth roll.
14.
Okay. So you get a ways in, and one of the hobgoblin guards is milling about an area you didn't expect him. Probably he's probably out of formation, to be honest with you. But you see yourself being made. I mean, you can see his eyes. You can see the look of recognition on his face. You can see sort of like confusion of why is there, like he's sort of waving for a minute, like get out of there, like because he thinks you're his comrade.
I hold up a finger at him and wave him over, like in a very subtle, like shh, quick kind of like motion.
All right. He sort of starts to follow, and then Usri Klab, the Barghest commander, comes over, like sees that something is going on weird in his ranks, comes over and interrupts his, like, this one hobgoblin from maybe following on your indication, and then sees you in the process.
How far am I from the thing?
You're pretty close now. You could make a run for it if you wanted to, if you stood up.
Yeah, I'm going to activate the rod and fucking book it.
Okay, so you turn the rod on, which from the overhead view, just it appears that like there's this big black circle in the middle of the area underneath the cube. And so the rest of the party can't see what's going on. You're booking it through the magical darkness area and can see like the confused and frankly somewhat freaked out looks on the various goblin, hobgoblin, and bugbear faces. So you're getting to the transport platform.
Mm-hmm.
And just as you arrive there, you can note that the sorceress, who's still in the back row back there, raises some kind of a wand or a stick or a rod at you, right at you. Like she can see you through the darkness. But her lightning bolt misses.
Whoa.
I assume you let Rikashi up.
Oh, yeah.
All right. The aperture on the bottom of the cube opens up. The light comes down. You have sort of a tingling sensation all over your body, Rikashi, and then you're standing in the middle of the platform in this terribly white blank room with the rest of the party.
Is the rod still on?
It's probably on for a second, and then I turn it off.
Okay, so for a moment, like, the whole room goes black and everybody's freaked out, and then Rikashi's there.
Oh,
My friend Rikashi!
fuck!
Ash strides over. Did you enjoy our shark normality?
She sort of like looks around the room and counts. Okay, so none of you turned into that thing. Okay.
No.
A reasonable concern, but no.
Yeah.
Welcome to the princess, Rikashi.
Welcome to the abyss, assholes.
Oh, you know you're in the abyss.
Yeah, we got a whole array of issues right now. Also, what the fuck is this?
Princess.
No, that's not inappropriate. That's not what?
It's our new hideout, is what it is.
Yeah. Rikashi, there is a multi-universe spanning conspiracy of amnesiac individuals known as the Chimera Project, which creates strange hybrid monsters as well as various and sundry other things, which owns this entire series of islands, and which all of us appear to be involved with in various strange ways. And this is part of their nonsensical, super powerful hideout in which Sir Simeon's ex-girlfriend previously lived, and now here we are.
Okay, how does that relate to us being brought here to trigger the end times?
Uh-oh. I don't know that
puts
one.
His finger up as if he's about to respond, and then he just stops and kind of keeps it there.
Because Balmo says concocting something.
Because
The Chimera Project started it, but we're going to end it. And he looks around with his mouth open like, anybody? Any takers?
Okay, that feels like a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it this week for the Chimera. Our theme music is Hoof, Heart, and Hiss by Matt Weber. You can find a link to more of Matt's work and any other music used in this episode in the show notes. You can also find us online at thechimera.space or on Twitter and Facebook at ChimeraPod. If you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or just telling your friends. Join us back here in 2 weeks for the next episode, and thanks for listening.
So Kelly, just offhand,
Yes.
where does Balmo indirectly getting us sent to the Abyss rank in the listings of players in our games accidentally causing horrible things to befall us with this bad theorizing? Because it's got to be up there, but I don't think it's number one.
So, I will tell you, the Abyss was always one of the possible places for the Isle of Dread to be. I didn't invent that to benefit Balmo. Rather, his misapprehension that he was already in the Abyss was based on subtle indicators that were present because the Abyss was one of the potential places the Isle of Dread could be.
But also his eternal paranoia that he's gonna slip up at some point and end up in hell.
Right. It was just a lovely
Perfect confluence of factors.
Which is why that thing on the map that I was like, when he was looking at the map and trying to figure out what it was, and I was like, oh yeah, that's Demogorgon. That's because it really is Demogorgon. There really is a Demogorgon thing on the map.
So the only difference Braden made that roll, and the only difference is whether we would believe the thing that you told us. You were going to tell us the same thing.
That is
either
correct.
way.
I mean, to be fair, at the time we weren't.
The punishment for getting a 1 is getting accurate information that you won't believe because you got a 1.
That's incredible.
That's really good.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.